Yeah, welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to Ironclad RC. This is the 120 Atlas Vans build designed by Dr. Jet. All right, all wood kit build. Been working on it for a while now. Hadn't uploaded a video in about 6 or 7 days. I just had a baby boy. So yeah, sorry about the delay in the build. It's been crazy. I've been back and forth from the hospital. My wife had some complications, so she was in the hospital for a little extended time. But we're back. We're back to the build today. Today we're going to be working on the wire drive for this boat. It's freaking awesome, you guys. It's freaking awesome. You're going to have to take my word on it. It's freaking awesome. A 4-piece wire drive that we have to build, all right? In the last video, we sprayed the spray foam in this boat. This is great stuff. You get it at Lowe's, expanded foam, kind of like a pour foam substitute. So far, so good, all right? I got it all sanded down. I sanded a little bit lower than my bulkhead and sponsons, just in case it wants to expand a little bit more. I know a lot of guys were worried about, oh, it's going to blow the sides out. What are you thinking, putting spray foam in your boat, blah, blah, blah. It works. It's doing good. I recommend it. Be careful with it because it will blow your boat out, but if you do a little test with the foam before you put it in the boat, put it in a little container, you'll be all right. All right, it's not the end of the world. There is a little invisible box that we've all made in the RC boat and hobby. All right, this little invisible box, and if you deviate outside the guidelines of that little invisible box that everybody has put on RC stuff, you know, they freak out if you do it, if you go outside that little box. But we did. We went outside the box and it's working. All right. It's okay. It's okay. Just test it. Just test it before you get it in the boat. All right. That spray foam. I've actually been like back and forth from the hospital. I put a coat of epoxy on. The next day I'd come sand it, put a little coat of epoxy on, save time. So I've kind of skipped a few steps in the build process. Because you know me, I can't stand it. You know, I've got to work on my boats regardless. So yeah, let me get back. I had a couple cups of Super B coffee. Y'all gonna have to bear with me. So yeah, stick around. We're gonna get started on this 4-piece wire drive, and we might get to the actual rudder linkage, running the rudder linkage and epoxying that in, so I can go ahead and epoxy on the top side skin. So stick around. Axel Johnny's here. Axel Johnny's finally home. Mama's home too. Newest member of the ironcladedout crew, huh? That's why I hadn't been making no videos here lately, you guys. I would say my son's a little more important than a couple of YouTube videos. You know what I mean? But he's here. Axel Johnny. We call him Axe. To an axe, everything's wood. So yeah, this is the 4-piece wire drive. All right, it came in the kit. It came as just raw stock. All right, just a long wire and a long piece of stainless steel tube. Okay, you have to build it. And it's really freaking cool. Okay, now I can't remember all the numbers. I hope I get it right, and you know I might be off on a measurement or something here, but I'm just trying to go from memory. Okay. The first section of the wire drive is this stainless steel tube. All right. Then you have the wire, okay, that slides in that tube, and then you have another section of stainless steel tube. All right. And then you put that into your stub shaft. All right. I think this is 1/16 wire drive. And then we have a stainless steel tube that is 3/32, I think. All right, so let's. I've had to sand and modify the wire to fit into this stainless steel tube right here that houses the wire. Okay, so that basically goes in there like that. You don't want to bend this stainless steel tube. Okay, if you do, it's going to throw everything out of whack. So that's going to butt all the way up to the end. Okay, then you have your stub shaft right here. All right, that's going to go right into your stub shaft just like that, just as pretty as you ever want to see. Okay, all this is going to be housed in the strut and this nose cone right here. I'll show you what the nose cone looks like later on. It looked a lot different from this. I had to modify it to fit. Alright. And it's just going to kind of house, it's like a Darlin block or whatnot. Alright, and then we're going to put this other piece of stainless steel tube in the wire. Alright, and it's going to slide right. The wire is going to slide all the way up to the end of this stainless steel tube, like so. And that's going to all get Loctited into place. Okay, you guys see that? Alright, so this piece of wire right here is not going to be supported in a stuffing tube. Alright, the only part that's going to be supported in the stuffing tube is this front 4-inch section of stainless steel tubing. Alright, like that. This is going to go into the motor collet, right? And then all of this is going to be hanging out the boat, okay, until it gets to the strut. You follow me? Alright, so the strut's going to be housed, let's see, let's take this off. Sorry, this is like my 4th take putting this together. I actually had a whole video of cutting all this. Okay, cutting this and installing the stuffing tube into the boat. I actually installed the stuffing tube in the wrong place on the boat. Stuffing tube goes here. I had it installed here. That was a straight shot for my motor. It ended up right there. Dr. Jet had his installed right here. So I went with his. Alright, but I had a straight shot. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get it lined back up. Like I said, if anybody out there builds a boat without making a mistake, then more power to you, because I sure as hell can't. Alright, so this is going to go in the strut like so. Okay? Like that. Alright, that Darlin block right there supports the wire drive, this outer stainless steel tube. Alright. And then your stuffing tube goes on. This is the part that gets me. Which, I mean, it's cool. And I just don't know if it's going to hold 3S, okay? Dr. Jet recommends 2S on this, okay? So basically, this is going to come out the bottom of the boat, all right? And all that wire is going to be all exposed. Nothing's going to support it, all right? It's a stiff wire. It's stiff, all right? And with the RPM and that little bit of bend in it to the stuffing tube and strut, from the stuffing tube to the strut, I think it's going to be all right, all right? I think it's going to be all right. But it's outside of the box thinking. I mean, it's a cool little wire drive setup. It's freaking awesome, you guys. But I'm going to show you what it looks like once I get it all installed. But that's about the gist of it, okay? Will that wire hold up to 3S with a 30mm prop or a 32mm prop? Will we have water get in the boat through this little short stuffing tube? Okay, will it be watertight? All right, because normally a stuffing tube will butt right up to the strut. You know what I'm saying? All right, and kind of keep water out that way, but it's exposed. It's a cool setup. I'm excited about it, but you know, you always have questions. I'm not knocking it whatsoever, but it's outside of the box. It's something different, and anything outside of the box, I'm all about it, you know. But you gotta question it. You gotta question it because we're not familiar with stuff like this, and it's different, and it's freaking awesome, and it's adorable. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. I'm going to be installing the strut with these shorter screws. These screws right here were the ones that were included in the kit. These long ones, I'm going to use the short ones just to save a couple tenths of a gram. Light boat's fast boat. Light boat's fast boat. But this boat is a light, small boat. Okay. I'm putting 3S in it. There's no question about it. So I want to put some weight on this boat to keep it down. It don't need to be, I mean, it needs to be super light. Don't get me wrong. But some weight in this boat in the right place is going to do you some good. Just like any other boat, you got to get the weight right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So yeah, let me quit jacking my jaws. Let me quit jacking my jaws. He's using this stainless steel tube that he used for the wire drive, for the push-pull, for the steering setup. All right, that's going to waterproof the steering setup. All right, and then we're going to run this other piece of wire through it and run it to the servo and the rudder. All right, that's going to be our steering setup there. All right, to waterproof it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Dr. Jet. That's pretty cool, buddy. All right, you guys. So I've got my stuffing tube. I hope I got you a good view here. I got my stuffing tube run through the hole. All right, I got it run through the hole here, and we're gonna. This is a scrap. This is not the piece to my wire drive. This isn't the main wire drive setup. All right. So I've got just the extra little scrap of 3/32 stainless steel tube here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my collet. Alright, disregard my barking dog. We got the new baby here. I think he's like jealous or something. He's going crazy. So I got my stuffing tube run through the hole. Alright, oh yeah, I didn't show you guys this. I did this while I was running back and forth from the hospital. I went ahead and epoxied my boat with epoxy. Alright, I used this Alumilite. This is a green dye, but I've got a black dye as well. Alumilite black dye for epoxies. Okay. I got the black one. This is the green one. Like I said, I used the black one in epoxy on my first application of epoxy on this boat. All right. The reason I did that is so I could sand all that first coat of epoxy off. All right, and it'll show me all my low spots in the boat, all the low spots in these straight runs and stuff. Okay. I used graphite, powdered graphite, for the ride pads mixed in with my epoxy. All right, the reason I did that, they had a little step right here. I sanded that step off. All right, I used powdered graphite because it's a lubricant. It's a type of a lubricant. All right, it also makes your ride surfaces extremely hard. All right, it don't chip, crack, break quite as easy as just the regular epoxy. Okay, I used the graphite in my epoxy, so whenever I put and contact cement on these birch ride pads, I'll be able to scrape it off with a hobby knife. Just scrape the ride pad off and put a different one on, because I want to be able to mess around with my AOAs. Okay, with my recovery AOA, I'll cut a piece of birch right here, mess around with that. Okay, like I said, I don't build boats to spec. I build them the way I want to freaking build them. All right. So disregard the funky looking black. Just that's black dye. Don't get it confused with graphite. Okay. You see all these low spots? You see I got high spots right here. Got low spots here. High spots here. This angle here is different from this angle, so I can see low spots, high spots. All right, that way I can get all my ride surfaces flat. This is an old school trick. One of my boat builders, one-to-one boat builders, he taught me this years ago. Okay, so yeah, like I said earlier, the stuffing tube's going to be cut off right here. All right, it's going to be cut off right outside the boat, right outside the through hole. All right, we're going to have this little run right here so you can put your wire in and out of the collet. Okay, it's not like flex cable. It's not like a flex cable where the flex cables, the stuffing tube's got to be butt right up against the collet. This is a solid shaft, so it's not going to have any flex. It's not going to contract like a flex cable will. All right, you follow me? All right, so like I said, I actually, this is my second go around installing the stuffing tube. I need to make sure that my alignment is correct. Okay, and I think that actually looks better than what I had it before. So I'm glad I went ahead and took my stuffing tube out and did it the right way. All right, I've got this stuffing tube retainer that I'm going to tack into place with some super glue. Just going to tack it into place. That way I can hook my battery up, spool this all up, see how it is operating. We want a smooth operation. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tack this into place. All right, let's make sure the stuffing tube, I want to be able to sand that stuffing tube flush once I have it epoxied into the boat. All right, so it's just maybe a 1/1000th of an inch higher than my ride surface here, and I'll finish that out once I sand that graphite ride surface. All right, so I'm gonna get this stuffing tube mount into place so I can tack it into place here with this super glue, and I'll epoxy this all into place once I know everything's operating smooth. Okay, so I should be able to pull that wire out, and my stuffing tube should be in place where it's supposed to be at. All right. Yeah, I can't believe I installed this stuffing tube in the wrong place, you guys. That's crazy. Yeah, and while I was installing the stuffing tube, my wife went into labor. Like, as I was cutting the old stuffing tube out, my wife went into labor that night. Yeah, it is what it is. All right, so let's see if it's smooth here. All right, it feels smooth. Make sure we got a straight shot with that wire to the through hole there. It looks like it is. Looks good. All right. Checking the alignment to my collet. All right. You see how it's wanting to, like, it's a little bit higher than what I need it. All right. So I'm actually going to take the stuffing tube off. I'm going to cut right here and take the stuffing tube out because I just tacked it. All right. Pull this off, and I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper and just sand this mount down just a little bit so I can lower my stuffing tube so it goes right into the collet. This is like a little foam block that I have, a blue foam block that I super glued sandpaper onto to get into tight spaces like this. Alright, so I'm going to get this kind of sanded in place and so we can get it lined up. I'm not going to bore you with all that. Okay, you guys can see how it's going to sit in the boat right here. Alright, it's going to sit in just like that. Alright, just like that, with the stuffing tube cut in half on the bottom of this sump bottom. Alright, this is an important part because once you get this epoxied into the boat, there's really no going back and fixing this. So you've got to make sure the motor is in its like final position at the very bottom of this mount. Alright, and I like to put my shaft in. Okay, make sure it's lining up perfect. All right, I'm gonna put some pressure on it here. See that? It's lining up perfect. All right, so it looks like I got it about right. I'll go ahead and drop a little drop of super glue on here. While that's drying up, curing out, I'm gonna go ahead and install my strut. All right. Told you guys I was using the shorter screws here. I'm not going to put any Loctite or any sealant on. I'm just kind of dry fitting everything right now. Make sure all that's going to line up to the strut before I get it finalized, you know. Not much adjustments on this strut. So I've actually taken a file and filed out my hole. So I have a little bit more up and down adjustability. Alright, so let's take and see if our alignment's good this time. Yep, got it lining up perfect now. See that there? Alright, so I can epoxy this into the boat. But first, let's check out what it's going to look like with the wire drive installed. Okay. I build my boats different from a lot of people. You know, people are probably like, oh, I wouldn't have wasted my time putting down a coat of black epoxy, sanding it off flat to see the low spots. Why would you do that? You know, but I do stuff different. I do stuff different. You know, I'm used to working on 1-to-1 boats and doing things a certain way. And it just kind of carries over from one aspect to the other. Alright, so this is going to go in the stuffing tube here. See that? Alright. Gonna push that all the way up to the collet. Like so. Alright. The collet's super tight. Alright, it's all the way up into the collet right here. That's the stainless steel outer tube and the wire that's housed inside. Alright, and then it stops right here at the outside of the stuffing tube. That will be basically sanded down flush. Alright, then you got a little run of wire to the stub shaft here. Alright, and that's it. That's how it's gonna run, just like that. You see what I'm saying? I made my little wire, the outer tube part, a little longer because I want to machine down a piece of brass, get rid of Darlin, and use a piece of brass, a little more hydrodynamic. But that's it. That's how it's gonna look. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, y'all? But you see what I'm talking about with the driveline, why I was leery of twisting or breaking this wire. It's thin. Stainless steel tends to break before it bends or twists. It'll break. All right. Also, you see what I'm talking about, why I'm worried about water getting in the boat with just such a short run of a stuffing tube. Okay, a short run of stuffing tube not connected to the strut. Well, my experience is when you don't, when a stuffing tube isn't completely connected to the strut or watertight at the strut, you tend to have water come in the stuffing tube. If you have a wore out shaft that's wore out in the strut, with the stuffing tube connected to it, you'll have water enter the boat. So now you guys see what I'm kind of talking about. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Outside of the box thinking, it's different. You know, you don't see that type of thing in boat kits. You don't see that type of thing, period. It's new, it's different. Well, it's not new, it's different to me. Some of you guys may have seen it before, but it's new to me, and I think it's freaking cool. Outside the box thinking. And that's what we do here at Ironclad RC. We try to think outside the freaking box, okay? Alright, so I've got my wire set up, okay? And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use red Loctite, alright? I think it's going to be okay. Now, I'm using red Loctite because you got to figure, you know, green Loctite is good, and that's like what you should use for flex cables and wire drives for a good connection, solid connection. Okay, red Loctite is going to be all right for this on 2S, 3S. Okay, and you got to figure that's an inch, almost 2 inches, an inch and a half of surface area that red Loctite is going to be in contact with. Now, if you were just red Loctite in this thing and it was only that much with red Loctite on it, it's probably not going to hold. But you got this much on the back end, this much red Loctite on the inside, on the front end. All right, you see what I'm saying? You follow me? Red Loctite is going to hold that. And then on this stub shaft, it goes in the stub shaft at least an inch. Look at that. You see that? It's not just going to be held in like by just this little bit right there. You've got a full 1 inch or so, or more, at least an inch, all right, of surface contact with that red Loctite. Now, you tell me that's not going to hold it, all right? I've had red Loctite grab stuff and never let go, even with heat, okay? That's going to work. I don't give a damn. All right, so what I'm going to do, all right, because we're always thinking ahead, you know? So I'm going to take and rough up this tube right here with this 40 grit, okay? I'm going to rough it up. But I'm not going to like go this way. I'm going to go side to side. All right, you see that? Side to side. On all sides. Well, all the way around it. Okay, you see that? I scarred it all up. You see that right there? That's going to aid that red Loctite. All right. Now, what you're going to be like, well, what about the little wire? Okay, the little wire. Well, let's do the wire too. Same way. Okay, same freaking way. I'm rolling it as I move it to the side, putting a lot of pressure on it. Look at that. Boom. Okay. That's gonna be on the long end. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole piece on the long end. See that? Kind of dragging it. I don't want to bend it. All right. You see that? All right, that's going to help hold it in. Now we're going to do the same thing on the short end. This is 40 grit. Very coarse. You see that? Boom. All right. Now, well, Big B, what are you going to do for the inside of the tube? Well, I thought about that too. All right. So I've got this, this is steel. This is a steel wire that I took my handy dandy 80 grit and got it down to size. All right, got it where it'll fit in here. Okay, steel wire. All right, now I'm gonna take my steel wire and go across that steel wire. I'm making a file basically. All right, now I'm gonna put a little bend in it so whenever I put it in there, it's gonna rub on all sides. You see what I'm saying? All right, so I'm gonna stick it in my tube where the wire is gonna go in. I got that bend, see it got a couple little kinks in it. Got a couple little kinks, you see that? We'll ream it in there and I'm gonna spin it. And I'm gonna kind of go in and out. Not to bend this, because if we bend that, oh, we had a bad day. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to bend that. Don't want to get that out of whack. You get that out of whack, that exposed wire on the bottom of the boat right here, it's gonna go wacky, okay? It's gonna look like that if you get that out of whack. That's what it's gonna look like at 60,000 RPM. All right. So I'm just kind of roughing this up on the inside, getting any oils that may be in there from the process of making this. All right. Ooh, yeah. Let's get some. I got some mineral spirits over here. I'll put on it as well. I'll do that off camera. All right. So let's go in the small one. Let's do the same thing in the small one. We're just roughing up the inside of this stainless steel so we get a good bond with this red Loctite. Green's recommended. All right, green's recommended. But I'm Big B with Ironclad RC, and I like to test the limits of stuff. I like to just, I like to find out if it'll work or not. And I like to see all the comments that people are like, oh, this ain't gonna work. Big B, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's what I like. Whatever. This is how I'm doing it. If you don't like it, turn it to another video, okay? But this is how I'm doing it, and we'll see. All right, I'll be the guinea pig. I'll be the guinea pig. Y'all can watch me test it out and watch it push this boat at 50 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour, 40 knots, no smoke. All right. So yeah, Dr. Jet can think outside the box with this cool little wire drive. I'm gonna think outside the box too. That's what we do. All right, so let's do the same thing to this. We got to rough the inside of this guy up. Now I've got to find something that I can put in here and rough it up. Let me be creative, because that's what we do. All right, so I'm not gonna get that damn creative. Okay, I'm not gonna get that creative. I've got this same wire that we cleaned the inside of the tube out with. All right, what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna like push it on the outside. You hear that? All right, I'm scarring it. You hear that? I'm putting like scoring the inside of that hole right there, and grooving, like putting grooves in it for that Loctite to sit in. You feel me? I think that the wire will break before that red Loctite lets loose. That's what I think. All right, so that's good. All right, let's blow this guy out. Okay. Alright, so let's get this thing assembled. So I'll let you guys get out of here. I don't think I'm gonna make it to the rudder, but I'll show you what it's gonna look like, and we'll do it in the next one. So this is the short end, and this is the long end that I roughed up. Alright, we want to make sure we get it on the right area, because we don't want the roughed up area exposed. You feel me? And I also rounded off. I rounded off that end right there on both of them, so whenever I'm pushing it in and out of the strut, and through the stuffing tube, it won't get binded up. So I rounded off the ends pretty nice there. Okay, and let's see if I can get it on there. Yep. Okay, so this is going on first. All right, so it only goes on one way. We'll put my red Loctite, my open red Loctite on the tube, and hopefully it'll come out the end here and not everywhere else. Okay, I'm going to use this this wire that I cleaned it out and scarred up the inside of that tube with. I'm going to run, I've already bent it all up. I'm going to run it through this stainless steel tube right here with Loctite on it. Make sure it's all on the inside. Hopefully it won't get stuck in there. But yeah, it's Loctited in. We're gonna give it 24 hours, and I think it'll work. That's a lot of surface area, for that Loctite to grab onto. Okay, all the way to there on the stub shaft, damn near to the drive dog, damn near it. I think it'll work. We'll see. I know some of you guys are gonna be like, "Oh man, that ain't gonna work." Blah, 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 blah. We're gonna find out. So yeah, I didn't show you guys this high performance wire drive coupler right here. It's pretty freaking sweet, you guys. It holds that wire perfectly. I mean, it's snug in there, and it's like, it's on point, man. It ain't no wobble in that. That's a nice coupler to come in a kit, you guys. That's freaking awesome. All right, it's the next day. Okay, it's all dried up. It's 24 hours. Of course, I'm not going to be done with the boat anytime soon, so it'll have, the next couple of weeks to cure out. But it looks pretty sweet, you guys. How about that? Huh? How about that? Looks sweet, right? See how I rounded my edges here, so it slides in and out of this Darling block, and I rounded this edge so it's a little more hydrodynamic, All right. Let's throw it in the boat. Okay, I've got 3S on it. We're going to rev it up to full RPM. All right. Slow linear throttle to full RPM. We'll look for vibration. Basically looking for vibration and listening and feeling for heat in the stuffing tube. Make sure everything's nice, on point. All right. So give me a few seconds here. I'll get set up. I don't want to put grease on my stuffing tube or anything, so I'm just going to put a little bit of high performance bearing oil, alright, light bearing oil, just to lube up the stuffing tube and my strut, so we're not dry running it. Okay, it's the worst thing for any drive line, whether it's a wire drive, flex cable, or anything. The worst thing is just to run it with no lubrication. Okay, so we're going to slide it in the strut here. All right, and then he's got it designed where you basically just kind of push it right into the stuffing tube. All right, boom, it's in the stuffing tube, and then we're going to push it all the way up to the collet. All right, it seats itself in the strut here. The Darling block is designed to house the 8th stub shaft and the outer tube, stainless steel tube. All right, see how it kind of houses that tube in the Darlin block. I made it a little bit long so I could make a brass one, which I've told you guys that. Let me get it in this collet here. It's a little tight getting in that collet, or the coupler, this wire coupler. Well, I actually got it pretty good. All right. Now, traditional wire drives, I've heard you don't need to leave a gap. Okay. So with this wire drive, I'm going to leave maybe a millimeter of gap, because that wire is so thin and it's going to twist. Okay. And it could contract. If it contracts and it has no space here to contract, it might break it. So I'm going to leave a little space in between the drive dog and the strut here. All right, I'm just going to spin the motor just to make sure it's free, and it seems like it is. Look for vibration when I give it a linear throttle here. All right. Full throttle. Okay, so there is a little bit of vibration on the throttle up and on the deceleration, which that's common on pretty much all of my boats. Will do that at some point or another. You know, you can hear it in the actual stuffing tube. You know, the flex cables whipping in there at a certain RPM on the throttle up and on the deceleration. So let's do it again. Okay, so it's only for a split second it's doing that. So, with my experience with flex cables, if we were to put a little bit of pressure on the strut, and you know, a flex cable, you can kind of do an S-bend and that'll alleviate some of that vibration. So I move my strut, you know, about where it's going to be positioned when we're running the boat. So let's see if it does it now. Okay, so a lot less. So once we put a little bit more bend on that wire, it actually alleviated some of that vibration. So let's try it again. So you could barely see it now. Okay, I put a little bit of a bow or curve in the wire, and it's not having that vibration. So that's good. That's good. It looks good. It looks freaking awesome, you guys. I like it. I like it. Hopefully it'll hold up with this 3S. You know, on 3S with a 32mm propeller. I know it'll hold up with a 30mm propeller. This 32mm propeller is 1.5 pitch, and I think that one there is too, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, you can't throw like a 42mm prop on it. That's just overkill. That would definitely twist that wire all to hell. You know what I'm saying? It'll look like a damn barbed wire fence or something when we're done with it. But for this little boat, a 450, 500 gram, you know, little hydro, these things, you basically run them full throttle. You basically run them full throttle around, you know, in a circle. You know, you're not like, we're not bashing that boat like we do this big Delta Force. You know what I'm saying? Or the little Delta Force here. We're not going to bash it like the big 42. These things, they're made to throttle up, full trigger, and just get it, you know, around the track. There's not going to be a bunch of full trigger, you know, jump offs, propping wheelies with this thing, you know. So it should hold up. We'll just take it easy on it until I feel like I could trust it. Which, like I said, it's new to me. It's a new design, and I'm going to use this on future boats. I'm going to make my own wire setup, you know, using this same technique. I think it's freaking awesome. But anything new, anything outside the box, you got to question it. You guys question me all the time when I think outside the box. And, you know, it's the same deal, you know. It's something new, something different. And we're going to test it out. We're going to see how she does. I think it's freaking awesome. I'm going to go ahead and get this servo stuff all worked out. I'm not going to make a video about this, and I'll show you what it looks like in the next one when I'm done with it. But that's basically what it's going to look like. Basically, you know, I've got to cut an actual stainless steel wire to put on this. This is my steel wire. I'm just kind of mocking it up, you know. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. It's a long video. Thanks for watching. Big B with Ironclad RC, channel where we tinker, test, and tune everything RC. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell.